Advance the cartridge. Handle cartridge. Charger cartridge. Rim down cartridge. Prime.
When we go out to encampments, we always cook with cast iron. We season it and keep it nice and prepped. Today for lunch we're having chicken stew, so it's something that's pretty easy, it's warm. Everybody likes stew, especially on cooler days. It started about an hour and a half ago. We just cooked the chicken and the broth over the fire, put the veggies like the carrots and the celeries in to let them kind of soften and cook down, and then we have the lid on it for a little while. And once the veggies have cooked down a little bit, then we add in the potatoes. Right now we've got the lid off just to make sure that we have everything cooked the way we want it and we can keep an eye on it. But once they fire at noon, we'll be ready to pull it off, served with bread, and that'll be lunch. Once we get this off the fire, we have some pork to cook for dinner, and that's going to go on the spit. So that will be down lower, and that will be cooked for approximately 4-ish hours, kind of a slow roast, almost like a barbecue, if you will. And then that will be ready right around 5 for dinner. If we have time, we'll make a pie. To do that, we prep it all by hand. Everything when we cook is cooked by hand. That'll go in a pie dish and one of the Dutch ovens, so if that's clean in time, then we will use that. We'll either set a trivet, which is, it's a heavy-duty hot mat, so it's made out of metal or stone, and then that will go in the pot. The pie dish, glass pie dish, will go on top of that to keep it off of the bottom of the pot. That'll help it cook evenly, and then the lid will go on. That'll be set in coals, and that just cooks right there in the Dutch oven in the coals.
Cool. Spices?
Yep, so spices are herbs that are traditionally found in that time period. So we don't have thyme in there today, but thyme, rosemary, sage. We didn't use peppermint in this, but there is a peppermint that was used as a form of tea. There's a display over on the other side of the encampment with the teas that were somewhat sourced once they stopped being able to get tea from England from the events of the Boston Tea Party. But they used things like rosemary and sage and peppermint as teas, as plants to grow natively to source their teas once they no longer reach that. So those are also used in cooking to make things a bit more flavorful. Salt was used a lot. We try not to use that as much now, but cooking over the fire tends to add a lot of flavor just from the slow, sort of steady nature of it, and it's generally quite yummy. We take our food very seriously. So
as you should.
Yes.
And it's a healing thing in itself too.
Yes, it's always very yummy, and that's always the best part. You know, we'll bring some of our members have their own farms, so sometimes they'll bring meat from the farms. We had eggs and French toast this morning that were made with duck eggs from one of our members, which were very tasty. Again, cooked over the fire, and we very much enjoy our food.
Sir.
Okay. So I guess there weren't a lot of uniforms.
We're a militia, so we have what we have.
Okay.
We're not supplied by the Continentals.
Okay. So what do you have in your tent here?
This is our mess. We have cheese, some berries that we've gathered, also nuts that have been brought along. Compared to most units, we're fairly well equipped thanks to our duty guarding the field hospital here. So being assigned to the doctor comes with some privileges.
But I guess you get pretty close to the battlefield.
Yes. We are frequently on the field, bringing the wounded to the hospital.
So you're kind of a olden time ambulance.
As close as it gets, yes.
Okay.
But most of the injured protest the bringing to the hospital.
Okay. So I guess you would. Why is that?
Well, medicine is not what you might be familiar with, sir. And unfortunately, the likelihood of dying in the hospital is greater than it generally is if you are not treated.
Wow. I guess they do a lot of sawing off of limbs and things like that.
Yes, as quickly as possible because there is no anesthesia.
Oh God. So, how would you have joined the militia at that time period?
Well, I signed up in 1774 when the Worcester Revolution began, and simply.
I've never heard of that. What is the Worcester Revolution?
Starting a year prior, out in the far western Mass, the British were driven out of the Berkshires into Worcester County, and then the following year, the Worcester Revolution began in '74, and we did a peaceful march to Worcester, 4,000 locals, who went in and evicted the British court and made them walk back to Boston.
I guess people did a lot of walking those days.
Yes, everything is on foot.
I'm an artillerist,
Okay.
but I'm also what they call a pensioner, in that I am retired from the military, and I live in a hospital situation for old folks, military. But prior to that, I was commander of this outfit.
Oh, very good. They still drag you onto the battlefield every now and then?
Oh yeah, there's nothing like it. Once you've done it, you need to do it again.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what you're wearing.
This outfit it's just a frock coat, and it's all what it is. It's just a coat. The rest of the outfit is traditional 18th century, what an artillerist would wear. I also would wear. There are guys around here with a blue and red coat. That's the Royal Irish Artillery uniform.
Okay,
I'm just not wearing mine right now.
Okay. Well, you look great just the same.
I feel pretty good.
All right.
I mean, I'm hurting, but hey, I'm here. That's all that counts.
Actually, I'm just a camp follower. I'm knitting right now. I've been helping with the food and preparations and washing dishes and whatever needs to be done with camp followers.
So, a general helper.
A general help.
Would
Yes,
you have a husband or a brother or anything
my
like
husband,
that?
you were just interviewing.
Right.
Yep.
In real life?
In real life, yes.
But the camp followers, would they be wives and stuff like that?
Yes. Yes.
And so would they be fairly close to the battle?
Probably not. They'd be a ways back, a
Okay.
ways, but not very far back.
Yeah.
It would be. They wouldn't be way back in the city. They'd be at
There's
the
still be an element of
outskirts.
danger.
Out of danger. Yes. Yes.
And you're making socks for somebody?
I'm making booties for a great granddaughter that I'm
Okay.
expecting.
Very good. Okay. Anything else we should know?
Is what I'm feeding into the spinning.
I can't think.
What
of
happens in
it.
this tent?
What happens is that we cook, we clean, we
I fill my bobbins.
fill cartridges if we have to and things like that for the gun.
Once
We just
I have those,
do whatever needs to be done.
once I have those filled, I
Very
put
good.
an empty bobbin.
All right.
I am Dr. Julian Weissraben. I'm the company surgeon for the Hubbardston Militia, and I run the field hospital here. And these are the tools, the medical
And-
tools.
Could you show me some of your tools?
Yeah. Can you guess what this would do?
It looks scary, whatever it is.
This is a trophene. It is for making the holes
Oh.
in the heads.
Aye.
Yeah. Because,
You've got a concussion. You need to let the pressure off the brain.
Okay.
yeah. And then, take my cane. Then this.
Oh my God. It looks like a kind of a hypo.
This is a clayster. This is if you cannot poop.
Ah.
We must put the water up there. If you're vomiting so much, we must put the medicine in that way, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Now, if you would see, this is a kind of bullet. This is a ball, and how heavy that is. That is a very large ball. That is what I'm taking out of people, yeah?
Wow. That's
Yeah.
huge.
So
That
our
is
muskets
huge.
fire something between 69 and 73 caliber.
Yeah.
Wow.
So first I must take the bullet probes, and I must see how deep it goes. And then if it is in flesh, I will take it out with the bullet spoons, like this. But if it is stuck in the bone, well, that happens. And then you have the bullet extractor, and you must screw it in there.
Into the bullet?
Into the bullet, and then pull
It's
it out.
soft lead, so it's similar if the ball gets jammed in the musket. We have a similar tool with a screw on the end that you have to jam into the bullet and screw it into the bullet to yank it out if it's jammed in the bottom of the musket.
Wow.
So same way if it's smushed into the bone.
Here, you hold this in front of me, yeah? Yeah.
I'm
Now,
insistent.
I assume you have no anesthetic whatsoever?
What is this anesthetic you speak
We
of?
have a little bit of opium.
That is in the
a
box with the
very
lock.
It's
You see,
very expensive.
That for
box
celebrities?
With the big lock.
Officers only.
Yeah, we do not waste that on the enlisted men. Yeah, the lock on the box is because every man in the camp would be trying to steal it, you see.
Yeah.
Now, this is, you go to the doctor and he says, open your mouth and say, ah, yeah. Yeah, this is mine, it is of German silver, it is very fine. I line all the men up in the morning, have them open their mouth, and I just go down the line like this, it's all good.
So
Yeah.
we are very careful about keeping our tools clean after we use them because the tools are expensive and we want to keep them in good condition. But before we use them, I mean, if they look clean, they're clean.
Right. So this is a little bit before the germ theory of medicine.
Yes, yes.
So sometimes the Indians shoot at us since they have arrows with barbs on them, so the arrow spoon is used to pull the arrow
Oh,
out, yeah?
really? Interesting.
Yeah. Now, sometimes I must cut off an arm or a leg. I am very fast. I can take a man's leg off in 4 minutes. 4 Minuten, yeah? And for the enlisted man, we have them bite down on the piece of rawhide.
No, like whiskey or anything like that?
No, they bleed out more.
Really?
They
Okay.
have to sneak
Blood
the whiskey.
thinner, I see. Okay.
They have to sneak the whiskey.
Yeah.
Make sure the doctor
We
doesn't
have
find
them
out about
held
it.
down, and then I will work very fast and get them all stitched up. And we wash the wounds with wine vinegar over there, and we pack them with sponges and with clean spider webs that are collected in the morning by the apprentice because they are very clean and very, very absorbent. So we've used that
Spider
for-
webs?
Yeah.
So there's a general sense that you need to keep wounds clean and that a dirty wound is likely to kill you. For instance, if someone gets shot in the abdomen, they're probably going to die. If they get shot in the abdomen, it punctures the bowel, they're definitely going to die, right? So there's a sense that, certain kinds of filth are going to contaminate the wound, but only
They had an
sort
idea.
of a general sense
Right.
that, like, we want to keep things clean, we want to wash the wounds, but generally, again, if it looks clean, it's clean.
There's a weird little mask down there. Tell me about that.
This is an old thing. Many doctors do not use this anymore, but I do. You see, disease comes in on miasma. It comes in on bad smells. That's how we know that there's disease in the air, is the bad smell. So the mask has a beak which is full of aromatic herbs. So I will smell that when I walk into a plague house, and I will not get sick. Yeah, and the lenses are made of mica.
Ah.
Yeah. Now, sometimes I must let the blood. Do the blood letting. We have the leeches up here, of course, and then I have the bleeding bowl, if I may show you. We have the bleeding bowl, and we have the phlegm to make the little cuts. There, I bled him earlier, huh? And
Our doctor is very conservative with the bloodletting. He only has a little bleeding bowl. Some of the doctors would take a considerable amount of blood.
you must take the bad blood out so that the body will make more good blood, yeah?
Ah.
I've seen a surgeon use a horse trough for the bleeding. Did
Too
not
much.
work well.
And not on a horse.
No.
And you have the little cup. The little cup. You light the little lamp and then put the cup on, and then that will make
draws the blood out.
Come further. And of course we have all the knives and things, knives and cautery equipment and drains for all the surgery. And I must make my own medicines. All this is my medicines. It is all. I must bring them myself and make them myself and grow them myself back at my house. Yeah, because the army
The army is not supplying us.
they
with
cannot
anything.
afford to pay
Really?
me anything. No.
They promised to pay us later.
Yeah.
I've been in this army for 2 years. I haven't seen a single quarter.
No, we are doing this for our family.
But they feed you, though.
Yeah, they feed.
Yes.
Well,
Yes, they feed.
I saw a nice chicken soup being made over
Yes,
there.
yeah, they do. A lot of it, we are mostly traveling short distances through very friendly country. So a lot of it is just farm wives, bringing us food.
and many of the wives and daughters and mothers, they travel with the unit.
I met one of them, yes.
Yeah, the captain is my brother-in-law, so this is why I am coming here.
So it's a family affair.
Yeah, yeah. I came over from Heidelberg in 1762. From Nuremberg, and I was educated in Heidelberg and lived in Nuremberg, and I was recruited for the wars over there, and I fled because I was tired of war. And I came here, and I thought I would never again treat anything worse than a farmer falling off a ladder. And now we're in the middle of a war.
So you did go to did you go to a medical school?
Yeah,
or?
I went to the University of Heidelberg.
Okay, very good.
But there are no medical schools in this country.
Right.
Now, Dr. Franklin out in Philadelphia, he says that he is going to start a medical school. But here, it is the middle of a war. That will not happen now.
Right.
So it's all apprentices. We all just train apprentices. I train as many apprentices. This is my assistant who I am training.
Who will one day be a doctor?
Yes, he is almost a doctor.
Very
And
good.
we take apprentices as young as, 9, 12?
10 or 11.
Yeah.
10 or 11. They are old enough to leave home and be an apprentice and gathers the spider webs and
Pick herbs,
makes
grind herbs,
grind and grinds
clean
the herbs,
tools,
cleans the tools.
polish
The
things.
private who was asked by the captain to guard the tent.
Okay.
Yes, this unit guards the field hospital so that they will not attack us. The British will not attack us.
Which seems to be working, even though they have the
They're
cannons.
right there with the cannons.
So I guess sometimes you just sewing people up sometimes, or
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And whatever I can do. This is very new. This is very new. Now, you've heard of the smallpox, yeah?
Yes.
That kills so many people? Well, what we do is we go to someone who has the open sores of smallpox and we take a little bit of the pus and we put it in the pox pot here. The pox pot. It must be carried next to the body to keep it warm and soft, keep the pus soft. And then we go from house to house and you make a little cut in someone's arm and you rub it in. And they get a little sick, but they do not die. Mostly they do not die. And people were very frightened of this, but John Adams had his whole family inoculated. And now they're not so frightened. And General Washington, he said all the troops must be inoculated.
Frightened or not, they're going to get inoculated.
Yeah.
I think it's the same way today.
Yeah.
He tried doing that to me today with the bleeding. I recoiled my arm before he could do it.
Oh.
He'll get me eventually.
Of course. Now, how I make the medicines, the tinctures, the herbs are soaked in alcohol for a month, for one turn of the moon. Whereas the herbs here, we will grind them to powder here, and then we will mix them with gum arabic and water. And that makes a clay. And we make a little snake of clay, and we put it across the pill tile, and we cut it into little pills. And so then I can dose the men as they need to be dosed.
What kind of herbs and stuff would you be using?
Well, I have the medicine here. This is mostly for things you would want for a war. So there is the herbs for the dysentery, the diarrhea. There's a lot of that because the men are not clean, and they will shit in the wrong places. Yeah, scheiße. So then there are for the lung problems, and then there are for the bleeding, to stop the bleeding, such as yarrow, and then there's for the sleep, such as valerian and chamomile, and some pain herbs like wintergreen or willowbark. However, the opium is just for the officers.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very expensive.
Yeah. So I can do many things. So
Nobody pays you anything to get fixed, right?
Nine, I do this for love and for
Okay.
love of my country and love of my family.
Hopefully the Constitutional Congress will send you a check later on.
Yes.
We hope.
Eventually.
So,
If they
If we
can
win.
agree with each other for
sometimes
once.
you have the tooth problem,
Uh-huh.
and we can fix this. This is the goat's foot elevator. It is for digging the tooth out, and then the tooth key is to crack it off. And then if you have a hole in your tooth, we have the dental cautery, and we will go and I'll have my assistant go and heat the end up red hot in the fire, and then psst. Yeah, so we can take care of the tooth.
I've been trying to hide the one that's in here, but he's going to find it eventually.
You will get, the pain will get to the point where you will come to me and you will beg.
I guess there's a certain amount of screaming that went on in this tent.
Yeah, this is why the field hospitals always set back from the others and back up against the woods or in the woods. It is not near all the lines, the continental line, so they do not have to hear the screaming all night.
We do, though.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, of course. When the bullet is in the leg, it must come out.
Yes.
It must come out.
And there's some pain associated with that.
Yeah, they try to be quick about it, but we really don't have no remedy for that. I mean, fortunately, we're not doing much surgery except for absolute necessity. You know, maybe to save a limb or dig out a bullet. But again, you know, there's some wounds where we're like, that's, you know, there's no point in trying to do any surgery on you because you're just going to die.
So what's the main thing you guys do here? Or does it just vary a lot?
It depends. We do whatever it is the men need.
Okay.
Now, I mean,
So camp fevers, things like that,
Yeah.
but also injuries from battle.
yeah, I mean, we're not delivering babies here. This not here in the military encampment.
Right.
But mostly it is wounds and dysentery and camp fever and things like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kitchen, so if you fall into the
Yeah, normal first aid.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for your service.